Hello and welcome back to Not Your Normal Guy. If you are new here, welcome for the first time, and if you haven't subscribed, I think you should think about pressing that red subscribe button below this screen, and also click the bell right next to it. It's free, and you will be notified every time we post a new video. Before we start reviewing the Renaissance Age of Disney movies, it's time to rank the movies of the Bronze Age, and don't forget to comment what your favorite Bronze Age movies are. First, let's talk a bit about the Bronze Age. The Bronze Age movies were mostly made without any real guidance from Walt Disney. They were the movies produced and released between Walt Disney's death in 1966 and the beginning of the Renaissance with The Little Mermaid in 1989. These Bronze Age movies vary dramatically in scope and tone. Generally, this time just shows me how hard the Disney animators were trying to find their footing. They had lost their leader, and the animators were trying to continue without the man who initially inspired them. Speaking of animators, this time was also a breeding ground for the animators and producers that we know and love today. More about that in my Fox and Hound review, link in the description. Because of the varied tone of these movies, they should be very interesting to rank though. So let's start with the worst and work our way to the best. This is Disney's Bronze Age movies ranked. The Black Cauldron is an interesting movie. And it is interesting because it does some weird things. This is obviously a situation where the Disney animators decided to take risks and create a very different kind of property. Did those risks pay off? Well, I would say no. I was not a fan of this movie or of the characters in it, but it's not the worst movie I've seen. The biggest issue with it is that it has very unlikable characters, which could actually be kind of cool if it was done well or if there was a good arc for these animated people, but the only one of these characters with a satisfying arc is Gurgi, and, well, yeah, he's pretty awful. The best thing I can say about this movie is that there are some great moments of animation, so it might be worth it for you to check out just for that alone, but I don't recommend this movie overall. I am, however, at least glad that Disney tried something a little bit out of the box.
The Aristocats.
Aristocats is anything but out of the box. It recycles stories and becomes something wholly unoriginal. It's not the worst movie, and it really appeals to little kids. My daughter absolutely loves Marie. It's a fun adventure tale, but its characters are very bland and don't have a lot of differentiation. Once again, though, I can say that the animation is pretty good, especially when it comes to the main human characters. They have a sketchy and beautiful quality that matches the background. There is something here to be admired, though, if only that the animators had the stick-with-itness to continue making this picture after Walt Disney died. As I said, it's a fun adventure story, and kids will like it. Grown-ups may have an appreciation for what it stands for also, but at least I don't have much of an appreciation for this movie on its own.
On a time in New York City.
This movie is bland. I can at least say that the Black Cauldron and the Aristocats either tried something new and failed, or tried to keep the animation department moving and semi-succeeded. I can say no such thing for Oliver and Company. There were no real risks taken here. This movie seems to be a product of stereotypical ideation and movie shorthand. It seems almost like a racist computer made this movie instead of actual people with, real human hearts and souls. As you can tell, I'm not a fan of Oliver and Company. The funny thing is, my daughter is not a fan either. I let her watch it and didn't say a word throughout it, and in the end she said, "I don't like that movie, Daddy." So maybe it runs in the family? I don't know, but I'm sure I won't be watching this movie again anytime soon. On the other hand, I will be watching Robin Hood again. It wouldn't surprise me if I watch Robin Hood very frequently. I love this movie and enjoy it a lot. However, that doesn't mean I can't see its flaws. Robin Hood has some very serious issues in the animation department because it is lazy. It reuses its own clips over and over again, zooms in on some of those clips, and borrows animation from many different movies. It uses some egregious examples of freeze frame animation, and it's just not very good looking. But if you watch this channel, you know that the thing that really makes me love a movie is good character development. I love animation, but good animation without good characters is still not a good story. You can have a good story without good animation, and even this animation is still decent. I mean, it's at least as good as the stuff that was coming out of the other studios at the time. So while Robin Hood isn't good for Disney standards, it's still a very good movie overall. It makes sense that this movie is right in the middle of the Bronze Age pack. It's hard to find a Bronze Age movie that I really like. It does happen, but it's hard to find. This movie continues to help me illustrate that case. The Rescuers is an interesting movie. I hate its use of stupid side characters, or SSCs if you watch this channel, but it does have a threatening and realistic gaslighting villain, and it makes something within me boil when I watch this villain hurt and use this innocent, sweet young girl. It's not the best movie when it comes to animation, but it does seem to have a good storyline. What is up with these movies either having to have awful storylines and good animation, or terrible animation and amazing storylines? Get your act together, Disney! I recommend this movie, but it's certainly not amazing for Disney standards.
99. Silly old bear.
The Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, on the other hand, is an incredible movie by even Disney standards. It does suffer a little bit in storyline in the same way that Alice in Wonderland or Peter Pan suffer, because this movie takes place in the mind of a child and doesn't have a particularly strong through line. It does illuminate, though, the way children see the world, which is why I think children are so drawn to its tales. Whenever I watch this movie, I feel like I'm playing with my daughter again, and it's a feeling I want to experience. Winnie the Pooh also has a little bit of reused animation though, but overall I think the animation looks very nice, albeit very simple. It works very well in this storybook world. Of course I recommend watching Winnie the Pooh. What, do you think I'm a heartless monster or something? Before we get to the final two movies, please hit that like button below, and if you haven't yet, subscribe. We want to add you to our Disney-loving family. Now, on to the top two movies.
Copper, you're my very best friend. And you're mine too, Todd.
I set out to watch The Fox and the Hound and assumed that I would hate it.
I hate this movie!
But as always, I made sure to keep an open mind while watching it, and wow, did it change my mind. I still kinda hate this movie though. I'm not a fan of watching it because it hurts me. This storyline to me hits on several very real notes. It's a sad movie, and it also has the worst examples of an SSC I have ever seen, Gurgi accepted. But overall, its characters are very well developed, its plotline is fascinating, and the entire story becomes an incredible allegory to our world and our relationship with culture. If you want to understand where I'm going with this, please check out my video for The Fox and the Hound, linked in the description. Again, I thought I would hate The Great Mouse Detective, but I didn't. I really didn't. It's my #1 movie of the Bronze Age, and it receives 5th place out of 27 movies overall reviewed so far. I'd say that's pretty darn good. I was amazed that I liked this movie, but at every turn this movie surprised, terrified, thrilled, and just overall kept me very engaged. I was fascinated by the music of mostly the villain. I was surprised at the lack of a love interest. I loved the dynamic between Basil and Dawson. I found this movie to be a breath of fresh air, and the character development, especially in regards to Ratigan, is endlessly interesting to me. I am very happy I gave this movie a chance, and I will surely watch it again. So that's my list. Tell me, what do you think about this list? Do you disagree with any of my rankings, or where would you rank them? Sound off in the comments, and I'll talk to you again in another couple days.